Must you have political harmony? By that I mean have one political philosophy throughout the South to have good, genuine, transparent cooperation. For example, should all the South states be PDP or APC for you to have this kind of understanding and harmonization?
Not necessarily, and absolutely not necessarily. But you know, our political, in our political life, we are still growing. Yeah. You know, a couple of years ago, in the formation of the European Union, they had similar challenges as well. Absolutely. You know, yes. and today, you know that in a country like Portugal and Spain, people are still wondering whether there's any benefit actually remaining in European Union, while in Britain it's still going to be a referendum whether they should stay or they should quit. You know, we don't have to all belong to the same political party. Okay. What we need to do and set our mind on is that we want to focus on the economic development of the region. Yes. Whether the PDP comes to power, whether the APC comes to power, that political philosophy must not change, that this organization or the whole concept of the BRICS concept is for the economic improvement of the region, transforming the region, you know, into a region that has the potential to be globally competitive.
We've talked quite a bit about the BRICS Commission, what's happening in the South-South corridor of Nigeria. But Ambassador, somebody of your stature, international stature, and of course, national prominence, let me ask you about Nigeria going into 2015, the much talked about 2015, with all the prognostications and all these things. What do you see? Where do you see Nigeria in 2015? Are we going to disintegrate? Are we going to stay as a country? Are we going to survive the 2015 election? What is the future of Nigeria? What does it look like to you, Ambassador?
Well, the future of this country is bright, very bright. We are going to survive 2015 and probably go forward to achieve our quests to becoming the 20th largest economy. We have all the potentials in this country to be a great nation. What we need to realize, and I just wish everybody in this country can realize that what is happening in 2014 happens every election cycle, that we have all the governors, almost all the governors going. You know, the presidency, there's going to be an election and so on. So you find that it will look as if the political fallout is going to be huge. But no, by December, when all the parties have agreed on who is going to be their respective candidates in each of the states, the governorship thing, the senators, once all these things have been decided, we're going to see that the tempo would come down. It is because right now everybody is struggling. I want to be the candidate, and you know, so the tempo it's very high. I just say that there's going to be continuous improvement. Whether at the federal level.
No, but based on what?
Let's put it this way. How many telephone lines did we have in 1999 as compared to, you know, what we do have today? You know, we complain, and you should be able to enlighten us on this, because you were an advisor the economic advisor to a former president. We said in Vision 2010, among those, the target we set was for this country, if I remember correctly, to grow at was it at 7% or 7.5%?
You also go into needs.
Yes,
into the needs program.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that under where you were there and so on, we grew almost at 7%.
Yes. Over the last 10 years, we've grown at 7%.
Good.
Yes.
We talked of Vision 2010 also. There was the issue of privatization. Are we not doing that today? We've privatized almost everything with a little bit, some more to go. So in a little way, the economy is gradually changing, and it's changing for the better.
But then, what about this conference that we're holding here? Will we survive the conference? When I listen to proceedings coming out of the conference, I tend to hear some things that sound like acrimony. Will we be able to get outcomes that will mean anything going towards 2015?
I believe we will, but I wish it can be anchored under some basic fundamental principles. Yes. When you do that, you'll probably have a better chance of getting everybody to agree. Right now, we are acting as if all our concern is the bread and the butter issues. Who needs more states? This state shouldn't have this. I should have this, and all that kind of thing. No, I think fundamentally that the basic fundamental principles that should be entrenched in this country are the principles of justice, yes, equity, and fair play. Once you entrain this and it becomes ingrained in us, we imbibe these principles, and in all our actions, policies, we are fair, we are just, we are equitable. Again, this is your tough. Part of the fundamental problem, disagreement between the Republicans and the Democrats, it's ideological. It's in the belief in the fundamental right of what the Constitution said. Never mind that I always say Republicans don't like poor people, but it is based on the core ideology, philosophy of not just the Republicans themselves, but what they perceive that was granted to them by the Constitution. Yeah. For a number of people in America, the right to defend themselves makes it imperative that they must bear arms. They believe in it. They are fighting to make sure that nobody takes it away from them. Absolutely. So if we can entrench that, the principles are important. But here, nobody is talking of entrenching these principles, soft bread and butter issues, and so on. The danger about that, focusing on this bread and butter issue without anchoring what we are doing on sound fundamental principles, is that even the butter and bread issue, we can easily disagree and it leads to more crises.
The bread and butter, the primary bread...
While they are necessary,
yes,
they have to be anchored on some very sound principles.
Absolutely. The primary bread and butter that I see is the oil revenue, that is brought to the Federation account and shared amongst the states and, of course, the federal government. Now, there is some agitation that the littoral states, the states that close to the nation, should not stake claim to oil beyond the continental shelf, that belongs to Nigeria as a whole. And when doing this derivation and determining what littoral states get, the so-called oil-producing states get now, it should be less what is obtained from the continental shelf, which could make states perhaps like Akwa Ibom and some others not have entitlement to some other proceeds that they get now. What is your view on that?
It goes back to what I said.
Yes.
I think it's insane for anybody to want to make that proposal without considering the feelings, the sentiments, the historic antecedents of the people of this region. Yes. That's why I think it's very insane to actually put out that paper. In fact, the whole idea of putting out that paper is insane, to be frank. And it shows you, again, I go back to what I said, it shows you the lack of appreciation of the next man's problem.
Especially given that if the waters are polluted there,
precisely,
it damages everything for these people in the littoral states. Yeah,
I did my youth corps many years ago, the second set in River State, Port Harcourt precisely. I used to go to your end, Bacana, and so on. When you are riding it's 4 nautical miles from Port Harcourt. Yes. Now, when you're on the boat, you can actually see down the depth of the ocean. You can put your leg, which we did as young. You cannot do that now. You cannot do that now. You can actually see you can actually see the fishes, and you put your hand down to grab one.
Yes.
Today, you can no longer do that.
Absolutely.
Because the ocean polluted, The livelihood of the people, which was initially based on fishing, completely gone.
Damage, yes.
Now, when you want to, if you go through from Port Harcourt to Bayelsa,
Yes.
and you see the amount of sand they are trying to put on the roads to stabilize the ground in order to be able to build the roads. Yeah. There's no way you do that in the south, the southwest or in the north. Yeah. So in other words, if you are using 4 billion to build 10 kilometers of road, you are likely to use 11 billion to build the same 10 kilometers of road in Bayelsa or in Rivers State or anywhere else.
That's correct.
And this is what I said about justice, fairness, and equity.
Yes.
You have to show sentiments and look, it will cost my brother more in that region to build his house than me. And once you realize that, you say to yourself, so how do I negotiate with my brother to make sure that as I'm surviving, he's also surviving? So that we can live but not for you to say, oh, put everything based on population. That is not only selfishness. It's insensitive. And as I said, insane. Because you are not paying attention to the feelings of the other man.
What we have to do is to find a way that the country can survive together on the basis of fairness and equity. Everybody gets what they're supposed to get. Everybody's happy.
And you just, all you need to do is appreciate each other's problem.
Absolutely.
Number one. Two, appreciate the fact that the good Lord has been very kind to bless every part of this country with one thing or the other. And what you need to do is develop what you have in God's name.
Yes.
Develop what you have. If you can grow rice in Kano, flood the whole place with rice and feed the rest of us with rice. You will never be poor in Kano.
Excellency, on that note, I want to thank you so very much.
Thank you so much
for taking the time to come see us in our studio.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much. And this is a great job you guys are doing here.
I appreciate it.